Hey there movie lovers, welcome back to Rocky Watches Movies. Today we're shrinking down and taking a trip inside one of the most inventive sci-fi comedies of the 1980s, Innerspace. Directed by Joe Dante and produced by Steven Spielberg, this wildly imaginative adventure combined groundbreaking visual effects, action, romance and comedy into a goofy sci-fi classic. But how much do you really know about what went on behind the scenes? So shrink down to size and let's embark on a journey through the human body with 20 things you never knew about Innerspace. Innerspace began life as an original screenplay by Chip Proser, who conceived it as a science fiction spy adventure. Proser described the concept as being heavily inspired by Fantastic Voyage, with the key difference being that the host character would remain active and aware of the events unfolding inside his body. The script attracted the attention of Peter Guber, who optioned it at Warner Brothers in 1984. Once the project was in development, Guber commissioned Jeffrey Boehm to rewrite the screenplay as a comedy. Boehm felt the central premise of a miniaturized person travelling inside another human body was inherently absurd and decided to embrace the humour of the concept. In his rewrite, he retained little from Proser's original script apart from the basic idea itself. Director Joe Dante initially turned down the film when it was being developed as a straightforward sci-fi spy thriller. The project failed to capture his interest until presented with a new approach, asking him to imagine a scenario in which someone like Dean Martin was miniaturized and injected into the body of someone like Jerry Lewis. The comedic potential of that premise immediately appealed to Dante and changed his view of the film. Before he could take the job, however, executive producer Steven Spielberg first offered the project to Robert Zemeckis. Zemeckis chose not to pursue it, leaving Spielberg free to return to Dante with the offer. Early versions of the screenplay were considerably different to the one that was eventually released. The character of Mr. Igo was given a larger role, complete with a major revelation at the end of the story. In that version, he was exposed as an android created by Dr. Kanker. The climax underwent significant changes as well. Instead of the finale seen in the finished film, the story originally concluded with a dramatic helicopter chase across San Francisco Bay. Another notable difference occurred during the raid on Vectorscope, where the bad guys originally lined the scientists up against a wall and shot them, rather than incapacitating them with knockout gas. According to special effects supervisor Peter Curran, all of the cells seen outside the pod were actually made of jello. The material proved ideal for creating the translucent, organic look required for the microscopic environments featured in the film. By carefully lighting and photographing the gelatin structures, the effects team was able to create convincing biological landscapes that helped bring the movie's miniature world to life. After Scrimshaw and Kanker are reduced to half their normal size, many scenes showing them alongside full-sized characters were created using forced perspective, rather than complex visual effects. For the car sequence, the rear of the vehicle was built at twice its normal size and positioned well behind the front part of the car. This practical technique allowed the effects to be filmed in camera, eliminating the need for complicated post-production compositing. It was even used in the final suitcase scene, where the suitcase was built at double size and a real hand was positioned closer to the camera to close it. The shot reportedly took around 20 takes to perfect. Like many Hollywood productions, Innerspace went through numerous casting possibilities before its final lineup was assembled. For the role of Jack, actors Mel Gibson, Rick Moranis and Robin Williams were all considered at various stages of development. The role of Lydia also attracted a long list of potential candidates, including Jamie Lee Curtis, Jodie Foster, Demi Moore, Michelle Pfeiffer and Sigourney Weaver. Joe Dante was particularly interested in casting Tom Hanks as Tuck and offered him the role. Unfortunately, Hanks was already committed to Dragnet. The missed opportunity was short-lived as Dante cast Hanks in his next film, The Burbs. Luca Bercovici was originally cast as the villainous Igo, and several of his scenes were filmed before the producers decided to make a change. The filmmakers felt that he did not project the level of physical menace they wanted for the character. Since the character needed to pose a genuine threat to Jack, the producers opted to recast the role and reshoot the scenes with the more imposing actor Vernon Wells. John Hora, who had been Joe Dante's cinematographer on all of the director's previous films, was cast as Ozzy after Steven Spielberg suggested him for the role. Dante and producer Michael Finnell were sceptical, but Spielberg persuaded them to give Hora a chance. His audition impressed them enough to earn him the part. Hora later appeared in 2 more films, Honey, I Blew Up the Kid and Burying the Ex. Innerspace features several fun cameo appearances that eagle-eyed viewers may spot throughout the film. Rance Howard, father of director Ron Howard, appears briefly in the supermarket checkout queue. The patients sitting in the doctor's waiting room alongside Jack are played by Andrea Martin and Joe Flaherty, both of whom starred with Martin Short on the sketch comedy series SCTV Network and SCTV Channel. The film also includes an appearance by screenwriter Jeffrey Boehm. He makes a cameo as the guy being interviewed by Lydia. Innerspace contains a recurring bunny motif that appears throughout the film, including in the decor of Tuck's apartment. The Bugs Bunny character, scattered across numerous scenes, is linked to another person in the film. Legendary animator Chuck Jones can be seen standing in the queue at the supermarket. He wrote, produced and directed many classic animated cartoons starring Bugs Bunny. As mentioned earlier, Innerspace drew much of its inspiration from the 1966 science fiction classic Fantastic Voyage. Original screenwriter Chip Proser even called it basically a rip-off of the film. But it's not just the idea that came from Fantastic Voyage, the title does too. During that film, the phrase inner space is spoken more than once. General Carter, played by Edmund O'Brien, reflects on his unusual line of work by remarking that he had somehow ended up dealing with inner space, while Dr. Duval, portrayed by Arthur Kennedy, marvels at the experience of travelling through the human body and describes humanity as existing between outer and inner space. During the scene in Tuck's bedroom, you can spot a copy of the novelisation of Twilight Zone the movie. The book serves as a subtle nod to a previous collaboration between director Joe Dante and executive producer Steven Spielberg, as both filmmakers directed separate segments of the anthology film. Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan first met while working together on Innerspace, and their on-screen chemistry soon developed into a real-life relationship. The pair began dating during production and went on to marry in 1991, and remained together for a decade before divorcing in 2001. During their marriage, they welcomed a son, Jack Quaid, who later followed his parents into acting. He has since built a successful career of his own, earning widespread recognition for his starring role as Huey Campbell in the television series The Boys. Joe Dante has often spoken fondly about the creative environment at Amblin Entertainment and the support provided by Steven Spielberg during the making of Innerspace. According to Dante, Spielberg frequently acted as a buffer between filmmakers and studio executives, helping to shield directors from outside pressures that might otherwise interfere with the creative process. Dante explained that Spielberg would often protect filmmakers not only from the studio, but occasionally from other producers as well. He described Amblin as an exceptionally filmmaker-friendly environment, where directors had access to the best equipment, talented crew members, and cutting-edge technology. The film achieved a remarkable accolade when it won the 1988 Academy Award for Best Visual Effects. The film triumphed over several high-profile competitors, including the action blockbuster Predator, earning recognition for its innovative blend of practical effects, miniatures, and visual trickery. Despite positive audience reactions, Joe Dante believed Innerspace suffered from a marketing campaign that failed to communicate what kind of film it actually was. He recalled that cinema audiences often responded enthusiastically, with screenings gathering plenty of laughter, yet the advertising did little to convey the movie's comedic tone. He was particularly critical of the main promotional image, which featured a giant thumb with a tiny pod resting on it. In his view, the artwork gave audiences no indication that the film was a comedy and offered little clue about its plot or appeal. He also felt the title itself was problematic, as the filmmakers were never able to settle on an alternative they preferred. Despite its commercial struggles, Dante remained extremely pleased with the finished product. He later described Innerspace as the film that he had made up to that point that came closest to matching his original creative vision. Because of that, he was particularly satisfied with the result. Looking back on the film years later, Dante said he still considered it an enormous amount of fun and remained proud of what the production had achieved. While Innerspace's theatrical performance fell short of expectations, the film found a much larger audience after leaving cinemas. It did okay at the box office, but its greatest success came on home video. The film became a major hit during the booming VHS era, introducing it to audiences who may have missed it in the theatres. Like many productions, Innerspace contains a few continuity errors and filmmaking slip-ups that attentive viewers may spot. Tuck's scuffle near the start of the film sees his military pins hanging from his jacket, only to magically reattach during the fight. Another occurs during the sequence in which the shrunken bad guys attempt to use a telephone booth. The sky visible behind them changes noticeably between shots, alternating between bright blue skies with distinct clouds, overcast grey conditions, and a different blue sky. And there you have it, folks. You now know a little bit more about Innerspace. If you enjoyed the video, which I presume you did as you got this far, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos coming to Rocky Watches Movies. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.